Hi, folks. You're with Tacitus today. Tacitus today, your pushback channel. Thank you for joining this audio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about propaganda, climate change, hysterical, and I mean hysterical propaganda that's being pushed in the schools. Now, it's being pushed to young children, in early primary schools. So we're talking, 6, 7, 8 years old, that sort of age range. And it's produced by a government-funded organisation, the propaganda, and it's a series of sort of short. They claim they call it documentaries, but and its sole purpose is to scare the kids witless with climate change. The world's going to end tomorrow, Armageddon, the apocalypse, the whole 9 yards. Now, the wisdom of scaring children like that is one thing, but do they rely on facts to do it? Because if the facts are there and they're facts, then okay, maybe they've got an issue here. Again, I'm not sure I'd push it on young children, but hey, I'd filter it out and I'd have it explained in more understandable, less dramatic terms, perhaps. But that's not the issue here. They're what they're trying to do in these and it's blatant propaganda. What they're trying to do is scare the kids witless and to really gin them up to become climate change warriors. We have to do something. We have to do something. Climate change. With the same as there's Nazis everywhere. Nazis. We have to do something. Hitler. Or transphobes. Transphobes are everywhere. So it's the same sort of concept of ginning up and terrifying and stirring up and emotionalizing. Now, the trouble with all of these things is that they rely completely on lies and misrepresentations and the most outrageous untruths. Now, if climate change or anything, is as bad as I said, is you don't need to tell any lies. It's bad because it's bad, and it's causing great harm. And the facts speak for themselves. But we need to understand that this is the climate change thing and so on. It's all ideological, and so they're pushing it on the kids, which is an ideology. Now, just looking at it goes for about 10 minutes or so, and there are a series of them. I've only looked at one, so the others, I'm told, are just as brazenly full of lies as the one I saw. But effectively, the tricks are to use inference and so on. So they'll show the forest fires, for example, that are going or were recently going on in Greece and other places, Hawaii and some of the forests in northern United States and Canada, and the fires there, and show, well, look at these fires and dramatic photos of vast areas, ablaze, and look at all that fire, and then either infer that it's climate change is causing mass burnings around the world. Photos are a few dead animals just to gin it up a little bit more. Look at the little furry animal that's burned to death. Oh no, climate change. But the reality is that those fires, all the ones they showed, were actually started by arsonists. You have to wonder, given how the news crews just seem to be right on site there with a ready prepared script, that wonder if these people are paid to do it or not. I don't know. It makes you just wonder. But anyway, let's assume that they're just mad, crazy arsonists. But the documentary or the propaganda piece doesn't mention that. It doesn't say, well, these fires were started by arsonists, and the reason the fires burned out of control so quickly wasn't because of climate change. It's because the green groups won't allow back burning during the cold, winter months, won't allow back burning. So there's a lot of flammable, materials, leaves and wood and branches that are dropped, and all that sort of stuff. So which makes the fire rage much more than it needs to. In addition to that, a sober voice may say there have been a number of cutbacks in firefighting, personnel and equipment and all that sort of stuff. And also we've got rid of a lot of the qualified firefighters, the interest of diversity, and we've hired black lesbians to make it look more diverse. And they're nowhere near as effective, and they really don't want to go onto the front line, and they don't want to risk. They're happy to pose for photographs for diversity, but they're not interested in putting their lives on the line for their fellow citizens. So they could talk about those sort of things, but they don't. And this is a real issue in my view. Why not just tell the truth? Why not say there's been cutbacks in budgets, which meant that the firefighting has been slower? Why not say there's actually less forest fires now than there were 25, 30 years ago or 100 years ago? Why not say that? They could open with these forest fires were started by arsonists, and the police have got them in custody. And by the way, the fire's burning worse because of green policies and because of the cutbacks in budget, so there's fewer firefighting people. And by the way, these fires are less frequent and less intense than they were 100 years ago. Those would be the facts. But they don't do that. Instead, they do the most dramatic, apocalyptic, Armageddon-like delivery and omit the facts. In other words, they conceal the facts. They don't mention them. So this is scary for children. And then a shot of a polar bear, the ice caps are melting. Well, they're not. Why say that? Now, they use a number of other tricks that they could argue. No, that's a fact. That's a fact. So they could say that 10 years ago, the ice caps were at X amount, and now there's 0.01% less ice coverage than there was 10 years ago. Therefore, the polar ice caps are melting. They're gone, and polar bears are dying, and Armageddon, and everything's going to be underwater. And they used a 10-year reference. So they used just 1 year. They picked 1 year when the ice cap was less than it is, or less today than it was, on a given year, and go, that's it. So again, they're super selective or they'll pick a particularly high or low forest fire thing. In 1964, there was, because it was an unusually wet year, there were, for example, I don't think it was 64, but somewhere around there was not many forest fires at all worldwide. So they'll then pick the forest fires today, but use 1964 as the reference date. And so our forest fires are increasing compared to that 1 year of 1964. So they can argue, well, that's true, that's accurate, that's a fact. You pick 1 year, you cherry pick 1 year out of the last 150 and say that's the so they use those sort of games as well. But for the most part, they're just telling outrageous lies. And now remember, for this to happen, the government is paying for it. Government people have to approve it. Senior public servants have to approve it. The education department and education unions have to approve it. School principals and teachers within the school have to approve it, knowing that it's untrue and it's lies. They all have to approve it and have to let it loose on the children. No wonder some of the children believe that the world's about to end tomorrow due to climate change, because they've been told so many lies by authority figures, and so many lies have been pushed at them that they believe that they're concerned about the future. And I think anybody would be if they were subject to that many lies. Now, by the time they reach an age where they're old enough to say, hold on a minute, if this, they're saying that the forest fires are greater now, but there's actually less forests burning this year than there was last year and the year before that. So why are they saying things are getting worse? For people who put the time into that sort of research and that fact checking and cross checking, and be old enough to have that level of careful discernment. By that stage, you're in your 30s really before you reach that level of discernment. And so you've been an activist clamoring for more aggressive. Well, the world's about to end tomorrow. We have to stop all people from breathing, and that'll solve it. And more radical measures to cure the so-called climate change thing become acceptable because the world's about to end. The only way we can fix this climate change is to kill all the Nazis. They're causing it. And so you go, okay, if the world's about to end, then sure, these radical measures that otherwise we wouldn't have thought of, now we really should put them on the table. But let's kill all Nazis, and so on. So now I don't doubt this is the end game as it plays out, that they're trying to gin people up to a point where they believe the future, immediate or near-term future, is so apocalyptic that any measure, no matter how brutal or radical, no matter how much collateral damage it causes, is acceptable. Given the now, these are the same people who are pushing this, are the apex of it, the Al Gores and the big banks and all that sort of thing, and Black Rocks and all that. They're the ones who are living in their waterfront mansions, loaning out money for waterfront hotel developments and this sort of thing, and laughing all the way as they try and scare the pajamas out of the rest of us. It's absolutely fucking outrageous, and no one is pushing back against it. You've been with Tacitus today, your Pushback channel, and thank you for listening.